Good morning, Blue Rhythmic Nights. In the white mirror wave spell, our tone is rhythmic, organized, balance, equality. We have been through wave spell 10. It's our 10th rhythmic tone. Rhythmic night. Abundance dream intuition. Abundance dream intuition. Circadian rhythms. The importance of light, of sunlight, of full spectrum light. The importance of full darkness. I wonder if one of the saving graces, unbeknownst to ourselves, I don't know, not intended to the northern hemisphere or the very southern hemisphere, I'm not sure, but certainly the more northern hemispheres, the more northern, the more so. Oh, but maybe it balances out. I'm just thinking of the summers who are long and saving us from artificial light. More artificial light. We need less artificial light exposure because it's light for longer. But then I'm thinking, yeah, but on the other hand, yeah, you have the winters which are darker longer, so then there's again more exposure to artificial light. But the rhythm of it, it's interesting. I wonder if never mind, I don't need to wonder. That's pure speculation. No need to wonder. But the importance of sunlight, I spoke about it yesterday. I was very, very shocked about this doctor just learning in his own experience as a physician about the importance and value of sunlight because for some reason he had been taught or learned or grew up in a world where sunlight is something to be almost shunned at all costs. Like, that seems to me so crazy. The sun. And then I learned about, I love synchronicity. I love the sun in the wave spell of the red earth, who represents synchronicity, navigation, and evolution. The sun, our point of consciousness, and the sun is self-existing. And in the analog wave spell of the sun, which is attached to the wave spell of the blue storm, is the analog wave spell to the blue storm, which we've just had 2 wave spells ago. Am I right? No, I can't be right. Blue storm ends in the monkey, then there's the human, and then there's 3 wave spells ago. The earth is self-existing. And I'm particularly highlighting this wave spell. The earth is self-existing also in the wave spell of the magician. There's a red skywalker. Yeah, the magician. But that's the regular wave spell. But I'm not going there. Receptivity, however, might play a role here as well. And the analog to the magician is the serpent. So how is this sunlight filtering into the serpent? Now, I love the synchronicity of how, whatever path we're on, whichever path we navigate, free will or whatever, life brings us what's in accordance with the path. Because we're navigating along, like navigational guides. And Blue Night, the intuition, everything that comes, and what we filter everything. We're always presented with 100 data points, and we're filtering up the 10 that are relevant as an example. It's not 100, it's not 10, but you know what I mean. We filter that. So when I hear about the scientists speaking like, how come we haven't met alien life, how come we haven't this, how come we haven't that, and we can't because and that, and we're looking for microbial life on other planets, I'm like, dudes, you're looking down, you should maybe try to look up. You can't, the alien, they're all around us, it's just that they're of a frequency that you can't see them. And they know very well what we humans are stupidly, idiotically capable of. So they're just waiting. And there are people who have met them. Yeah, anyway, synchronicity, navigation. I learned synchronicity brought, I was thinking about light photons in all this, like listening about sunlight and what photons do. And photons are fascinating. I wonder what we truly, truly know about them. Much about the subatomic world is kind of sort of guesswork. We kind of see an effect. It's like interpreting, in my eyes, it's like the way we interpret ancient texts, really ancient texts, Sumerian or the glyphs, the hieroglyphs, the Egyptian hieroglyphs. We cannot think outside our own paradigm. It's not possible. We cannot think outside of our own. We have to translate into our language, and they are describing concepts, especially in the Western scientific mindset, which is kind of like interpreting this. Like there isn't a concept for it. We can't translate it. I just don't think so. I don't think we can. If someone from a very, very spiritual, scientific mindset translates, they might have an understanding of what the glyphs are saying, because seemingly that's they talk about, like, but even if it's the inner science, the science of reducing mass to an object and cutting it into shape or shaping it, and then shaping, like if they had the technology to build pyramids purely on using sound frequencies or using some other technology that isn't third dimensional, at least not objects, not building crudely like us with manpower or machine power, we wouldn't know how to translate that, because we don't even have a concept that that's possible. I mean, in the in the field of those people who are traditionally translating those, and even, whatever, photons, whatever they are. But they are, there are a couple of facts that I find absolutely fascinating, and I haven't quite figured out. I have to go back to understanding this. Apparently, from the perspective of a photon, it takes a photon, I think, traditionally, from our perspective, 8 minutes to travel from the sun to Earth. When it hits your body or your eye, it's left the sun 8 minutes ago, if I am correct. But from the perspective of the photon, it's now. It has not crossed any time. I'm not exactly sure why, but I just like, to me, that's just like, it's like, hey, what? And then the next thing is, we ourselves, our bodies, emit photons, apparently, particularly around head or face, and neck. What does that mean? We emit photons, different times of day, rhythmically, different times of day, different amount. We glow, literally. I sometimes have to stop myself. Like right now, this minute, I had this flash of a thought of living in this incredibly dense time where a lot of this stuff, we almost can't live, because we're so, our frequency on this planet is so low. And I'm like, oh, despair, just die already. And just wait until the frequency is back up. But then I'm like, no, but I'm here now, so must be a good reason for me to be here now. So please just enjoy the density, because it has a density and gravity and weight and slowness. It all has its benefit. And it's kind of like pulling the arrow back. The harder you can do that, or the more taut the arrow gets, and the stiller you hold it, whatever, like it's the pulling back of the arrow. If you just pull it back a little bit, the arrow goes, drops down in front of you. And the further back, the further it can shoot, the faster it can fly, the greater the distance, the greater the acceleration and exhilaration. Acceleration and exhilaration are somehow related. So if we're holding ourselves in a very, like we're emitting only a tiny, tiny amount of photons, because that's all we've got left able to emit in this day and age. Maybe when the pages turn and we get back into that release of like being sun, emitting a lot of photon. Maybe that's like so exhilarating. And it is exhilarating not only for its own sake, but because it has been not the full glow. Because of that. The way food often tastes so much better if we're really, really hungry, or if we've really, really not eaten something we like eating for a very, very long time. Blue Rhythmic Night. Abundance, dreamtime, in the wave spell of the white mirror. Order, timelessness, endlessness, cancel, endlessness, reflect order. This reflectivity, everything is visible because light reflects off of a surface. That's one version of explaining the visible world to us. Everything reflects a different light spectrum. But now the things that reflect a different light spectrum can also be touched. And then there is this thing like, but there's nothing anywhere. Your brain interprets everything. That you have means of touching something. That there is anything to touch, to see, to smell. All of it is just signals firing in the brain. And yet, these are just modes of explaining something. And what's the baseline that we could all agree upon? Here is a plant. I would say every human on this planet that would enter this room would agree with me that there is a plant. And that's a theory. I will never know, because not ever will every human on this planet enter this room and confirm, I'm also seeing the plant. Everyone who will ever enter this room, out of the people who will ever enter this room, as long as the plant is there, they will see the plant, because they're sharing my reality. And we're all sharing 3D. But we're all multidimensional, so we're not all sharing all the... Or maybe we are. No, just because we're not all sharing the same view, but... okay, no, we're not going quantum today. Blue night, abundance. Are we all hankering after abundance? Not we are all living in abundance. There isn't anyone who isn't. No matter how cut off they may appear from the abundance, no matter how much a person may And please, let's not tell people they're abundant when they feel unabundant, because it's like really telling people you're responsible for your own illness when they're not ready for that information. It can be very uncalled for. Until we are ready to take responsibility, we're not able to. And it's not everybody is even aware that they might want to learn or open up that option of responsibility. And yet, here's the thing with the star, the yellow star, the antipode to the white mirror, and we're running the whole yellow star wave spell in the antipode. The yellow star represents harmony, because it's the first time we're meeting tone 8. So the first time in the whole spin we're meeting all these tones. That's really, really linked to the tone. Tone 1, the first time, is the dragon. It's the very, very start. So the magnet, beginning of everything. So the dragon always has its birth, nurture, being. So it's always a new beginning. The dragon, every time we meet it, even if it's on tone 20, I was about to say, there isn't a tone 20, there's only 13 tones. Any other tone, it still always represents some element of new beginning, birthing, a new start. And yet, on another tone, we also always reminded there's always something preceding the birth. So something about me starts with my birth. It's a definite beginning point, but something about me existed before. And the way the whole creating of the body is this really beautiful representation of that, just because the birth is the entrance into, it's a definite transition. But I existed before I was born. For 9 months, my body was built. So whatever the I is, it doesn't get born. My I did not get born. My body got born. My sense of self, my awareness of my sense of self developed later. But there's like all this, where do I begin? When does the soul enter the body? There are different ideas about that. I kind of like, I like channeled material. So I like Seth. Seth says, I think around about birth. Some come just before, but most souls don't really go through the physiological birth process. They enter just as you kind of sort of enter earth. I like leave the mother. If I remember correctly, it's been a long time since I read that material. But where am I going? This star, this harmony, okay? A harmony and our own sense of harmony and our well-being. Everything centers around, can we be true to ourselves? That's a really, really key element. Not lying to ourselves, where the white mirror and the yellow star antipodal to each other. Order, truth, white mirror reflects its truth. It stands for truth, the hall of mirrors. It always reflects what is. So truth is like, do I want to say it's a contentious topic? I don't know. If we don't think about it, it's very obvious this is true and this is not true. It's not very obvious at all. And when we look into the world of politics or whatever, it's so abundantly clear that my truth is not your truth. Look at climate change. We're not all agreeing on what is true about it. What is our human, how much influence do we have about it? How bad is the effect? And we're creating so much whatever, but strictly speaking, one would assume that there has to be a truth about it. But no, but wait, okay, no, that's it. No, that's really such a big topic. I'm not going there. It's just me and myself, you and yourself, a person in themselves, in their own selves, being true, resonating on their own true frequencies. We so often get are not. We're so often, yellow star, we give up our truth for the sake of harmony, or we insist on our truth and cause a lot of disharmony. Both both sides of that coin are can be severely out of balance. It has to be my way or the highway, and I'm unable to be flexible or compromisable, or adjusting myself to the needs of the moment and the needs of others. As a human, we obviously need to have a certain degree of flexibility there. Too much of it, we give up too much of ourselves. Too little of it, we insist too much on things at the expense of others. And it's always kind of a match. If there's me and my partner, if I'm always hell-bent on my way or the highway, I'm not likely to attract a partner that is equally like that, because that wouldn't work unless we're both in harmony. We want the same thing, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm likely to have a partner who compromises too much. And in time, we're going to pay the price for that, both of us. But him a little bit more, because I get more of my way. If I'm like, I compromise less, it's probably ultimately a little bit of a healthier way to be. But in the social context, it's not. And if I'm living in a partnership where my partner is compromising a lot and maybe resenting it, maybe we fight a lot, maybe he keeps quiet for the sake of peace, the relationship is not healthy in that case. And we will both feel that sooner or later. So how to, as a human, navigating balance, navigating truth is like such a challenge. I think it's such a challenge. And this blue night is self-guided. Communication yesterday was guided by love. And the antipode of yesterday, the yellow human, if the wind is, there's death and then there's love. Then there's wizard and then there's mirror. Okay, so there's two further. So the human would be guided by two further yellow signs. So human, then warrior, then sun. And then seed, and then star. Yes. So the yellow human in this wave spell on tone 5, in the antipodal wave spell of this harmony, and really sticking this together because it's really important, is guided by the sun. And the sun and the dog are antipodal to each other in the same way as the wind and the human are antipodal to each other. That's very interesting. Is it always like that? I want to check this out. In another wave spell, give me tone 5 in the wave spell of the dragon. No, that's the fifth dragon. It's the wave spell of earth. Tone 5 is guided by the moon. So strictly speaking, the antipode, then the monkey, would have to be guided by the monkey on 5 would have to be guided by the storm. And it is. Very interesting. And then the star is the warrior, is the antipode. Then the mirror here will be guided by the world bridger. Very interesting. Tone 5, the guides are also is always guided by the antipode of whatever. Yeah, that would make sense, because always the guide is always So anyway, never mind. The sun guiding this human yesterday, in this wave spell, in this, the harmony within ourselves, our own consciousness. I'm asking myself right now, the way I'm thinking, breaking it all down into a thinkable modules. To me, I do this for fun. Strictly speaking, we don't need to do this. I don't need to do this because I don't need to know this. I can already live it. I can live my life without any of this knowledge because it's innately in everything. It's not needed to be filtered into my head, and yet it's fun. And in a way, the more I'm learning, the more I have to experience the shadow, the more I have to go take myself down in frequency. Anytime I want to experience something, I'm going to have to. Here's the thing. This is what I am experiencing. The aches and pains in my body, in my body, they're all related to my. In German, we have a word for this, the movement apparatus. So it's not in my digestive system, it's in my mobility system. Ligaments, maybe fascia, maybe muscles, maybe joints, maybe like things hurt. And since they started hurting, and since I lived a kind of a life with this amount of mobility and motion, now I'm at a place where it's like, okay, what do I want? A body, to live in a body that is able to move in this particular way, and blah, 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 blah. So I have some idea about that. In order to know what that is like, I have to know what the opposite is like. Otherwise, I will not know what that is like. Like full range of motion. I mean, as a child, we come in having it, most of us. Later on, a lot of us lose it. And if you want it back consciously, I mean, what is the act of becoming conscious, increasing consciousness, developing consciousness? What the fuck? A lot of people on this planet are like, what are you talking about? I'm not here to develop consciousness. I wouldn't even know what we're talking about. And since that's kind of like where I'm resonating at, of course, I filter into my experience not only, but a lot of information, people, contact, my friends, everyone is on this path also, enjoying the development and exploration of consciousness, becoming more self-empowered, learning as to why are things this way, what is healing. And we are doing our healing in terms of we're healing our relationships, we're healing our family relationships, we're healing our relationships with the opposite sex if we're so that way inclined, but like we're healing our bodies, we're looking at our any issues in our health and looking at like what happened with our parents, what is our relationship to food, to light, to information, and then how does it relate, and then healing happens, joy factor increases, etc. And then like or healing relationships, what is needed by way of communication, healing communication, growing conscious communication, growing conscious self-awareness, what's going on in my body, what's going on in my emotions, what's going on in my mind, what is this life reflecting back to me, how do I become a conscious responder rather than an unconscious reactor. and all of that journey and what that does. And there's always an awareness of the abundance of solution, the abundance of life, the abundance of anything and everything. Everyone I know lives in abundance, not necessarily financial or not necessarily by freedom, or I mean, I have friends who are constantly ill, I have friends who are constantly complaining, I have friends who are constantly not very happy, not fulfilled, not very aware as to why that is. But there's an abundance in that. There's an abundance of problems. There's an abundance of reasons to complain about. There's an absolute abundance. There's no end of reasons to show up at the doctor. There's an abundance of accidents, an abundance of fighting with a partner, whatever the case may be. That's all abundance. It's just not this. It's all abundance. And what else does the blue night stand for? When we just sleep, the healing ability of the body through releasing our focus. The focus comes tomorrow, yellow seed. Blue night is a day before. And sometimes it's, you gotta, before you can focus, you have to know, like focus what in the abundance. And then this relationship between abundance and focus, between also healing and focus, the blue hand, the seed, both of them meeting on the earth, red earth, wind, hand and seed, healing, knowing, accomplishing, focusing, flowering, blossoming. What else is the yellow seed? That's one other thing. And then the wind, spirit, breath, communication, they meet in the red earth. Synchronicity evolves navigation. Navigation evolves synchronicity. So it's the ability to let go, focus and then let it go. It'll come to fruition. If we keep focusing on something, it can't change state. If I keep focusing on the pain in my body or on what I'm wanting to change, I can't. For me, losing weight, I'd rather maybe gain some weight in some places. I would like that. I have nowhere on my body where I really need to lose weight, but losing weight is usually an issue for some people, more commonly encountered than people trying to gain weight. But in any case, if it's losing weight, as long as I keep focusing on the weight I'm trying to lose, I can't lose it. And why is that? I can't. It's much harder to build, or it's easy, but it's difficult. And the question is why? Why is it difficult to see myself in that slim, beautiful body that I want to be? It's much easier to say it's often not possible because of the self-image. Very, very many times when we're overweight, our self-image, it doesn't permit us to change who we are. My sense of self is, I'm not very self-confident. I'm not believing, usually there is a story behind that. Often there's a story of abuse behind that. Out of childhood, something, and I'm not good enough, and my parent let me know that, somebody let me know that somehow, and now I protect myself through my body weight, and I can't change my mind about that. I can't change the way I see myself because it's been like hardwired into me to see myself as not worthy. I'm not worthy. So as much as I need to lose weight or want to lose weight, I can't change my mind about that. So then I have to take a recourse through dieting. Trying to diet doesn't usually work. Reducing my stomach, taking some drastic means of having to drastically change my life. And very often even that doesn't really work, but sometimes that does work. And then, okay, that's a way to go. In my books, it would be nice to heal the self-image, to heal the ability to see ourselves differently. And that happens. Then we have to use the analog and the occult wave spells, going back, going a different route. So the analog to the yellow seed, we have the yellow seed tomorrow. The seed follows after the blue night. From the abundance comes the seed, comes the flowering, comes, that's the way of manifestation. But in the analog, it's the other way around. So the seed wave spell analog has the night lunar. So that the challenge is, how does the seed let go? How do we let go and seed ourselves in our unconscious? If I know I'm constantly becoming, because we're constantly dying and becoming, but I'm constantly reproducing myself into myself on a level that's maybe overweight. I become someone that I don't want to be. I remain someone. I can't change myself in the direction I might like to change myself. Then the analog wave spell is, the challenge is the abundance. The intuition is not working. We're unable to let go of the self-image we have, and therefore we keep holding on to it, and therefore we keep reproducing it. So then what would be step 3? White wind. And there are very definite techniques here. There are definite keys and clues here. And in this particular wave spell, which is really all about this internal harmony, am I artfully expressing myself? Am I true to myself? Am I the artist? Is my life the work of art I want it to be? Or am I struggling? Am I not expressing my abundance? Am I not participating in life's abundance on the level that I want? A person who's unwantingly overweight has an abundance of weight, has an abundance of body cells that they don't want. You can be, so there's an abundance of what's not wanted. We can all relate in some way, maybe not physically, maybe our body's not overweight, but all of us have sometimes, somewhere, an abundance of something we don't want. And it's the counter equal weight to the lack, where we do not have what we want. And I'm so very pleased that we are learning on this planet the modalities on how to take responsibility for that, how to adjust that. And there's so many ways to kill a cat. There are so many ways to try to address it, to learn to address it. So many people come up with ways and means to get there. And we get to try them until we find the ones that work for us. And to me, ultimate empowerment is, you do it through your own consciousness, because it's already happened that way. We are the product of our own consciousness, our body, our lives, everything. So to shift that, on one level it's the easiest thing in the world, on another level it's not at all. But to understand, each one of us has the wherewithal to find our path and our meaning, and our journey is that, in one way or the other. We are this rhythmic abundance. Maybe it's sometimes we spend some time in lack, rhythmically. Sometimes it's light, sometimes it's dark. Sometimes it's a lot, sometimes it's little. and how to navigate, synchronize ourselves with well-being. Do I have to experience unwell-being in order to know what well-being is? Or do I just know, I know what my well-being is? I know what it is. And how can I, every moment of the day, a lot of problems are solved. Abraham Hicks says, a funny thing, I had to hear this so many times. God, what the fuck? The question is, I think, wait, let me find it. How do we deal with, I don't know if it was guilt or something, some particular problem. The question is, how do we deal with it? Because when you're there, you're already resonating on that far end of the stick that you don't want. And Abraham says you deal with it before it arises. And are we back to the analog and the antipod wave smell? Not the analog and the occult, going back in time. It's possible we can go back in time to deal with it before it arises. First, when it's here, today, we have to train that. We train that mentally first. We train that by understanding, like, what does that mean? Yeah, okay. How do I not get there? That's kind of sort of how you get there, but you still have to kind of understand, like, I don't want to land in that situation. So now I'm still focusing that situation, but I immediately have to understand, well, what is the opposite of that situation? What do I want to be? Okay, I'm overweight. That's like, I'm already there. How do I lose the weight? How do I lose the weight? Because it focuses on losing the weight. Well, how do you lose the weight? By not putting it on. How do you not be overweight? By being not overweight. How do you not get there? By changing the trajectory before you get there. And like, that really is, to me, this is really like so important. There used to be this parable, there still is this parable. I walked on a path, there's a hole I'm not seeing, like an open gully or something. I fall into it, boom. I walk down the path again, I don't see it again, I fall into it again, boom. I walk down the path, I see the hole, I don't know how to avoid it, I fall into it, boom. I walk down the path, I see the hole, I look, I stop, I look around, is there a way around it? I try to go around it, I slip, I fall into it, boom. I walk down the path, I see the hole, I wait, I look around, I tried that didn't work, I try something else, I fall in again, boom. I walk down the path, I see another option, I take a different route, whatever. Eventually I don't fall in, or I navigate around, or whatever. It's like, it is a learning process. It is a learning process. And how do I not fall into the hole? By not falling into the hole. And sometimes you just have to fall into the hole many times until you realize, how do I not fall into that hole? It is an experiential path. How do I not end up in guilt or in whatever the thing was before you get there? That means we have to understand what comes before. We have to understand, now I'm not there. Now I'm not there. But if I'm trying not to get there, I'm of course focusing on getting there. The not gets cancelled out. So, blue night, abundance, focus on our well-being and our harmony. I'm cutting here now. Suddenly it feels to me as if I'm going around in circles. It's just another day for you and me in paradise, and understand, and then you fall into a hole. It's okay. We crawl out again. There's just something going on this planet for many of us, and that has to do with fear, and it has to do with illness, and it has to do with disharmony on a level that is, I don't know. So I want to say it's unprecedented, but it's just unprecedented to what? Of course, not unprecedented, but it's just very, very intense. And the question is worth asking, how do I remain healthy? You can ask, how do I not get sick? How do I not end up having a heart attack at the age of whatever later on in my own life? How do I not get this? How do I not get that? No, how do you stay healthy? And what does health mean? Health is not the absence of sickness. Health is well-being, it's thriving, it's being abundantly healthy. It's being able to make our dreams, Blue Night, come true, turn them into seeds and into serpent, into life force, embody our dream, embody who and what we want to be, embody what we want to feel, embody what we want to live. A lot of our dreams are not our dreams. Like, I want to be rich because it somehow is linked to status and blah, 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 blah. It's got nothing to do with the dream. It's got everything to do with something else. And then we chase this thing. And we are surprised with what we find along that path. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be rich or whatever. I mean, that's not the point. It's like, but who am I and what are my true dreams? What do I really desire in life? What do I really want? I want to work with wood. Oh, you can't make money, being a carpenter. It's like, okay, so we learn like, if I don't make money, it's not a dream worth pursuing. And there's so much of it in the Western world. We're pursuing goals that are not dreams. Or we're giving up dreams because something or someone outside of us says that's not worth pursuing. And then we get to a certain age. Here comes the threat of, are we going to lose jobs because of the AI? Like, yeah, but I've lost my dreams. You've lost your dreams. You don't even know that is far worse than losing your job. Says who? Say I. Blue Night and Blue Hand, the link between those, abundance, dream time, and then the Blue Hand, healing, accomplish, knowing. It's healing. The Blue Hand is very much then, what are you doing? What do you do in your life? If the then Blue Night, if your dream is not, if you're not living your dream, what you're doing comes out of what? You know what I mean? Whereas if your dream informs your doing, informs your being, your doing, then everything is in order. And abundance follows. You will always be given everything. Life just supports you living your dream, us living our dreams, us, doing what we love, because it's universe is biased in love. At least the one I'm living in is. And that's wellness, that's abundance, that's all of us making life more beautiful for each of us, for ourselves and for others. We become supportive of each other. We become an asset in each other's lives, not calculated like what can I get from you, but just we produce more photons and giving light to each other, which in turn, light feeds light. Is the earth and the sun having like, I work to give you, or you work to give me? Is that like what? No, the trees are just producing that oxygen that we need. Do we pay for it? No, but do we exhale something the trees need? Yes. Is this an exchange based on harmony, or is this like I'm forcing you? No, it's not. That's exactly how it all works. And when we humans really collectively and individually understand this symbiosis that we have with life itself, with the planet, with our dreams, with each other, that flow, that is the red moon, that's flow, that's beautiful, that's attached to the yellow human. That's wisdom, that's joy, that's love, that's it. That's the way it works, and it's so elegant. And we can experience the opposite of it working in this elegant flow. That's the yellow star, elegance. The antipode, we're in the wave swell of the yellow star, in the antipode. It's furthest away from this one. And if we're struggling in this domain, we can look like, where am I not living my truth? Where is my life not an order of flow, of magic, of receptivity, of where's my body out of alignment? Where am I not in alignment with my body? What's out of alignment? And course correct. It's actually so easy. And make no mistake, I have issues in my life. And one of my issues is I can't, like, it's exactly this thing where I sometimes can't tell. It's nitty gritty. It like my blind spot. Punkt. Period. It's like where I can't. Like, and who do I trust to show me my blind spot? I trust nobody. To be really genuinely seeing and being able to say, Tats, I see. This is the issue with you. This is where you're thinking that. This is where your inner child took that trajectory, and that's why that thing is not working. But I'm not even sure that that thing isn't working, or if it is working, because I can't tell, like, where, according to someone else's model of how I ought to function or how things ought to be, what ought to happen. I have this thing that it ought to be like that. But I'm not sure that that's true. Because is that just someone else saying? Is this just a program I learned? Like, you ought to earn this much money, or you ought to, like, they're like these things, you know, you can't, you know, like, you where are my balances? I can't even talk about it. In that same pot of not sort of being clear sits shame. Very difficult. We very often can't see the blind spot because there's a barrier of shame. And to really navigate down to, am I not doing more of what I want to be doing more of because I'm blocking myself? Or is it just, okay, man, you only have this much time, so you're doing as much of it as you actually like, because each time you do it, you're loving it so much that you think, I want more of it, and that's just exactly where you should keep yourself. Am I wisely keeping myself doing only this much of it so that every time I do it, I'm like, oh God, I gotta do more of this, which is such a delicious state to be in, versus the minute I do more of it, I'm going to be like, oh my God, this is too much, and then I lose interest. Is it wisdom keeping me exactly here? Or is it a block keeping me from doing more of it? Now, I could be doing more of it and earns a little bit more money. Would be good for me. Am I now not doing that because I'm thinking somewhere else in my life, I've done exactly that route. I've taken a passion, turned it into a job, and lost the passion. Am I afraid that that happens again? Am I therefore withholding from myself more of it because, and then when I start, it's like I don't want to think about it. It's driving me demented. So am I going like, okay, stop thinking about it, just go in the flow? Or am I, stop thinking about it, that's a block now, I'm not thinking about it. You see? So like, am I overthinking it? Probably. Am I underthinking it? Maybe. So how do I work out the block? If there is one, am I a blue knight? You have to let go every now and then. You have to let go for the seed. You can't just keep on checking the seed. You can't just, it won't never take. You have to give it that rest. And that's, on some level, that's like so difficult. I feel, for me, it feels as if it's so difficult. And is my, and then I return to Abraham Hicks because they always soothe it. They exactly know how to soothe it. And then it's like, oh yeah, okay. Trust. Red Dragon, trust. And what proof do I need that I'm on the right path? Okay, here we go. I'm going to let this go and wish us a beautiful day of whatever. May our intuition need, alignment with ourselves, intuition, the intuition. There's one thing, I'm not going to go there now, but the intuition is a voice, is something, everything is very linked to this now. Who else do we have today? With a mirror again here in the occult, the warrior in the antipod, in the analog, and the skywalker in the antipod. So this curiosity, the skywalker is able to take responsibility. What do I need to feel good? What do I need for my wellness? What he explores, it explores. And the warrior is fearless, asking the question. Here, warrior and skywalker meet in the blue night. It's really, really a nice combination. And the mirror, truth, order in the unconscious. If there's disorder, take the warrior into, bring the light of the warrior into the unconscious and explore fearlessly with the skywalker. What do I need for this to be easy? Why is the intuition not guiding me there? And give it some time. Oh, good morning. For me, one of the issues is a certain corner in my bedroom that's very untidy. It's bugged me for years, to the point that it's bugged me so much I can't even look at it. Like, it's really like that's a terrible admittance. There's a lot of shame around that. But it's like this place. I once did the Marie Kondo method in my whole house and ended up with a little pile of stuff in the center of my bedroom. And oh, come on, can you turn this down? In the center of my bedroom. And I realized I can't touch it. I couldn't touch it. It was like the opposite of a magnet. Whatever those things were, and it lay there for a long time. And I realized this is the heart of me. It's my bedroom. There is an issue in my heart center that is untidy. I cannot get to it. These things don't have a home. Every object, these are either things I can't let go, but they weren't things that should be discarded. I had discarded everything according to the KonMari method. I'd gotten rid of a beautiful, I loved it. But these things belong in my life, but they have no home. And I couldn't look at them, I couldn't touch them, I couldn't, it's not even I could look at it, what can I do? I couldn't. And I still have that, and I realized that, and it was a terrible realization, in some way, really terrible. There's something in me, obviously, where the white mirror, I'm not in alignment. They don't have a home. They don't fit inside of me. It's something in me that doesn't fit in me. Huh? I'm happy to talk about it right now because now I'm going on a little bit, but it's like, it's a core issue. It's been a core issue for years. I did this in 2021. We're in 2026 now. And it hurts me. It's uncomfortable. I can't find a solution uncomfortable. I couldn't even, the simplest thing to do is just sit in front of this thing and just be present with it. Just sit yourself in front of this little pile of things and be present with it. I couldn't. It didn't even occur to me to do that. I've been training to do that for the last year. Maybe in this span, I don't know. I'm healing that. I really have an intention of healing that. I need to put new furniture there. I need to take everything out of that side of the room out. Sell that furniture that's there, or take it to wherever, some of it, wherever, do something. Put new furniture there and create new order there. It sounds so simple. And my right brain says, dude, just do it. It's that simple. And a part of the other side is like, as if my life depends on it, as if I'm going to die if I do that. It's like there's just a white knuckle, like, no, I'm not. And because I can't face it, I'm not even thinking about it. I just procrastinate. Like filing taxes. It's simple, it's not difficult, and yet every year it's like, oh, there is a point of disorder in me that is really, really, really bugging me too. And I hate the bug. And so there's a chain reaction that happens. And I'm avoiding that, but the chain reaction happens anyway because I can't avoid, and the avoidance makes it worse. Avoidance is like lethal. Avoidance is the worst thing. If I could probably decree one thing to be taught to little children, to all of us, like every human, unless you don't need it, but we should be taking a workshop in avoiding avoidance, how to not avoid. Like, what is this avoidance? What are we what are we avoiding? What is this avoidance? Avoidance of anything. Something tells me it really belongs into the blue night because there's something in our unconscious, something in my unconscious that has associated me being completely in alignment with myself, in self-order, ordered in myself, with myself, is dangerous. It kicks me out of the crowd. It makes my mother disapprove of me. It's like it's linked with me seeing and knowing things as a very young child that were true, white mirror, reflecting that truth back to my parental environment, and that being so disapproved of that I got punished for it. Lock me in a dark room at the age of 2, or 3. I could walk, but I couldn't reach the door handle, or my hands weren't strong enough to open it wasn't a door handle like the handle that you pull down and open the door. It was a knob. You have to push in and then turn the door handle. And my little hands were too, I couldn't push the knob in. I needed maybe 2 hands at some point and then turn, but I could hardly reach. And then, like, don't leave the room. And I'm thinking, you idiots, I can't leave the room if I wanted to. But it's like you learn a distrust of yourself as a child, because I couldn't distrust my parents. My parents were angels. They still are to this day. I have a solid case of Stockholm syndrome. But I don't. My parents are really genuinely beautiful people. But they got very hurt themselves, so they do things that are, they raised me to the best of their, all that. But what did I learn? To distrust myself. Because I was the one who suddenly gave a response to them. I did something innocently that I don't know what I did that caused my parents to hit us, to yell, to shout, to lock us in dark rooms, to send us to bed without dinner. And that was all very normal. And my family was a very normal family. So they're right. They're doing what they have a right to do. But I didn't understand what had I done wrong. And so I learned a very deep distrust of myself. And now I'm talking about it, I just really want to, but I've been there, I've cried this out. It's like I'm bringing light, I'm bringing my photons into myself. Like, I am not wrong. There's nothing wrong with me. I have to relearn this deep red dragon, the occult to the yellow sun. My medicine is trusting myself. And on some level, I'm very good at that. On many levels, I'm very good at that. Very, very good at that. On some level, I'm not. And if that level believes, if I'm true to myself, I'm going to hurt somebody else or get hurt and turn myself. I can't even go there because that's a loop I'm avoiding, because I can't even penetrate that. That's like the addiction. I can't break the addiction because I'm going from A to Z without B, C, D, E, F, blah, blah. I'm skipping all of that. And I can't undo that because the path from A to Z is dangerous. So I've closed the loop immediately. And to open that out, that's why we take psychedelics sometimes, because to open that out. And that's why is scary to take, to open that out, because all that fear that we project into it and that we have once really experienced now suddenly opens up and we have to feel it. But the guidance is, you are not that anymore. Is old. It's different now. Can you learn something else? Can you grow trust? Can you understand? We are able to always find a solution. We are able to learn to communicate with each other. And this is what humanity needs to learn on all levels. Communication with each other. No, we do not need to believe the same thing. We need to let each other be. And in many places, that's a no-brainer. I mean, there are countless countries on this planet where people of different faiths live together in absolute peace and harmony. They even intermarry, no problem. So everybody eats halal. So nobody has to think about it. It doesn't hurt me as a non-Muslim to eat halal or to cook halal. It's a no-brainer, you know. I don't, like, it's just very simple. And yet all this instigating trouble everywhere for no reason at all, other than just some kind of power games, who's got control over which resource on the planet, because it's just not elegant, it's not artful, and it's not intelligent. It really isn't. We need the warrior intelligence to share the abundance on the planet. The earth has abundance. We have abundant resources. So we're using up the fossil fuels. Okay, now we've built an abundance of something. We now can go on to the next resource, maybe sunlight more efficiently, whatever. But we're being blocked by the powers that don't want to give up their power. It's like, no, stop this nonsense, please. You're not going to lose power by shifting over. There is an elegance, but can we just get on the table and get real with each other? And we can't, because a lot of them are boneheaded. Like, you can't talk to them, they will not listen. So we have to wait for them to die, and we will. And they will. Mark my words, in 50 years, or most of them are going to be dead. It's fine. It'll be a better day then. It'll be, no disrespect intended, but we got this. There's like the under 50s on this planet. Like, yeah, we can wait it out. In the meantime, we do what we can to build a system that is really going to catch us. And that's the thing. A lot of people on that side of the divide, if you want to call it that, of the veil or of the timeline split, they're afraid to not be caught. And they will probably manifest disaster. If we're on this side of the split, we're not worried, because we have faith, because we know. It's not blind faith, it's knowing we're going to be fine. It's knowing we got this. It's knowing we got each other's back. It's a knowing. It's like, we know the way the world is working right now, predominantly. It's a cul-de-sac. But there's already other networks are in place, that when this runs out, we'll just switch over to the other network. It's working. And it's going, and we're switching over one by one, so it's getting stronger and stronger and stronger. It's getting more resources, because everyone who switches over feeds the new network with their abilities, with their energy, with their attention, with their time, with their focus. And we're focusing a whole new earth, a whole new way of being here together. Supporting each other, supporting life, clean energy, clean air, clean food, time, abundance of time for everyone to evolve their own innate abilities and to make their own dreams happen on this planet to whatever degree, in harmony with each other. The earth is exactly for that. It's exactly the playground for that. This other stuff, like, it's going to be relegated to the virtual reality. You want to play war, do it in the metaverse. Like, absolutely knock yourself all out. It's fun. But nobody needs to play it, you know, like, I mean, if there's people who want to play it for real, then they will get their areas on the planet also where they can play it for real. Some people need to bleed. They need to know what it's like. Like, they need to be real life soldiers, real life warriors. Like, I need to cut. I need to have someone stick a knife into me. I just yeah, and I want to stick a knife into someone else. Like, yeah. So, but you're not going to stick a knife into me because I'm not playing that game. But you're going to stick a knife into someone who says, yeah, I'm here to play that game. It's choice. Then they'll have their area. And they're going to have to believe it's somehow real. So let them. It's just let them. But they don't have any jurisdiction over here. And that's all right. This is a big, big planet. It's a big, big planet. It's not going to be nuclear. And if it is, then by that time, we'll be like, you can throw your nuclear bombs all you want. We have got this because you can't affect us, because we have organized our bodies and our photons and the information in our bodies when this isn't going to affect us, because it isn't going to happen. Or you can't. You cannot. Oh, yeah, okay. Well, it's easy to say that on the outside. I got to do this on the inside of me because somewhere I've got this thing. But what I wanted to say about my thing with my little untidiness, what I've noticed is that lately I've been looking at that side of my bedroom and thinking, I really want to get stuck into that. I really want to take it apart. I want to organize it. Like, yeah. And I'm so pleased to report this. Like, I get an A plus for that. Because, like, the fact that I'm there now, that I can look at it like that now and start noticing, like, hey, I'm actually wanting to do this. It feels so good. Feels so good. I'm not looking at this is a problem I can't solve. I'm looking at this is just a thing that needs to be organized. It's very simple. There isn't a problem there. And even if I don't, it's such a, like, oh, I'm so happy. I mean, I apply this in so many areas in my life intuitively. So I don't even notice that I'm solving problems because they don't become a problem, because I'm intuitively solving them before they become a problem. I'm not going there because I'm not going there, because I go where I want to go. I experience what I want to experience. I have clarity because I want to have clarity. In this one area, I don't. And now I'm clearing it up. And that's very beautiful for me to see. And I'm building a version, just like I spoke earlier about the overweight person who may have a difficulty seeing themselves free from that weight in a body that they love being in. I couldn't see myself in that, being that person that does not have that cluster of stuff somewhere that she can't even look at, you know. I decided I gotta see a version of myself that can. I gotta see a version of myself, even if I'm just not there yet. But she is one of my futures. She is one of my potentials. And it's really cool. And I do a lot of that work. And the work itself is so, 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 so fun. That programming myself is not like, oh, I gotta program myself so that I can then have what I want. Like, the path of effort, which I don't want to take, so I can get somewhere where I do want to be. No, that's old. Now, the reprogramming, the journey of reprogramming is fun. It's not like, oh my God, I got to take this awful ayahuasca so I can have this horrible trip so I can then be healed. Like, no ways. It's amazing. Like, I don't know about that ayahuasca, but the reprogramming is meant to be fun. And for me, it really is. So I'm really curious to see some of the other little niggly issues in my life, which used to be big. Let's see how they turn out. Let's see how they solve themselves. I'm super curious. And now I'm done. I was just an abundant day. I gotta go. I wish us health. I wish us well-being. I wish us faith that even any issues we face, life inside of us, the sun inside of us, the photons inside of us, the dreams inside of us, our mind, our consciousness, our ability to believe has the wherewithal to, to tune themselves, to tune ourselves, to tune us to the solution, to well-being, at no cost to another, at only that our being here is beneficial to life itself, on everywhere. And even if in some way it may seem not to be, then that is their lesson and meant for their benefit. You know what I mean? But we're not here to mind other people's journeys. We're here to mind our own and to be in alignment with ourselves and to live the abundance, as much of it as we dare, as we want, as we can, and as we get to enjoy. And we get to enjoy every breath we take. We do, but it doesn't take anything but this breath. So the intuition, everything in this moment, exploring whatever there is to explore. Okay. Oh.